much harder is it for your staff to simulate this week's offense that you're going to face in practice?
Wow. It's very difficult because of the things that they do physically, right? You get to this point in the season and you want to try to keep your guys healthy, but it's not a healthy practice. It's not a healthy game. It's live cutting. Do you say you get to this point in the season and you're going to experience cutting? Well, if you don't, your guys are going to experience it times 10 full speed in the game. So it's a very thin line to be able to operate in practice. So one of the things Coach Morris mentioned, though, is that we've taken our kids down this road at different points during the season, different points during fall camp. So it won't be totally foreign to them, but it's very difficult to say, all right, no preparation for Navy at any point during the season, and here I go, I'm going to start preparing for it right now. It would be almost impossible to do. So we feel like the sprinkles that we've given them of the option game, of this type of offensive line blocking, and out in the field even blocking, will help us.
You've faced a lot of mobile quarterbacks this year, and obviously the system that you're going to go against this week is very different. But are there also characteristics in Keenan Reynolds' game that make him different from the other mobile quarterbacks you face?
It is. Just like you said, the system is different, and the when you add the option into it, whereas these other quarterbacks and their attack was not necessarily option oriented, so it actually eases that burden, because you now have a guy who's a pitch player as opposed to who would be a lead blocker when you have the true quarterback run game. So it's a little bit different, but he's still a dynamic player and still finds ways to challenge the defense. And sometimes he finds those ways when he's not carrying the ball, making checks and handing it off.
You talk about having to kind of do a little bit all year long to get ready for this. When you first started coaching high school football here in Texas, that wasn't the case, was it?
Well, when I first started playing high school football, we had actually in high school we ran the wishbone, so we're right down the road from what these guys are doing. But clearly, we don't face it all season, and it's a very different attack that you have to prepare your guys for. And like I said, just the physical nature of the offense, in terms of they're trying to get you on the ground every play. And even the fear of that, you watch teams where they're not even cutting, but guys are, bracing themselves for the cut block. So if you don't prepare your team, if you don't at least expose your team to that, it gets to be quite a challenge in a couple of days of practice.
Have any of your guys even seen it in high school?
Well, a couple guys have played Navy, but not as many as as back in my day, for sure. I think the linebacker, if you had to pick a group that had to do more, it'd be the linebackers. The secondary, talking about the safeties, they have to be really active in the run game, because it ends up being a numbers game. They'll short motion their slot. Well, he's a number on the other side, and if your safety is just a little bit slow, they have you now outnumbered. So it ends up being the stress really ends up being on the safeties and the linebackers. The linemen, every single play, it's a physical challenge for them. But in terms of reaction, in terms of speed, in terms of angles, it's your linebackers and your safeties that have to be on point every play.
Maybe only throw is one of the challenges for your corners, keeping them focused and disciplined on coverage, so they don't jump into the assumption that it's going to be a run every single time.
And that, when you watch the film, that's what happens. Is now there's a cornerback who is antsy, who wants to be a part of the run, and the receiver ends up taking off. You'll see a few plays where a guy's running wide open because a pass defender has jumped into the run game, and so our guys are going to have to be focused, no matter when you count the numbers. When they take a receiver out and this is what we tell our guys, when he's out in a pass receiver position, we don't need you in the run game. We need you to defend him on the pass. If he puts himself in a position where he's blocking one of our run defenders, well, now we can use you in the run game. So it just throughout the offense, there's challenges on the pitch, on the quarterback, on the dive, throughout the game, and throughout the positional, throughout the structure of the defense. Everybody has to be disciplined, and I think that's the biggest challenge with this offense.
Coach Lewis and the defensive staff in the area for this particular matchup for a long time because it's so unusual, the offense you're facing. Have the players looked at any game theory for this team for this week?
No. What we've tried to do is keep them focused on what they're doing, week to week. But we explained to them early on that this would be a different system that they would face, and why just the overall structure of the offense is. I mean, we hadn't gotten into any game planning with them. We gave them a simple call. We actually a few times just gave them base calls and just let them go through the processing of the option attack. Somebody has to be on the pitch, somebody has to be on the quarterback, somebody to be on the dive. There's components of this offense that happens in the spread at times, so we just tried to connect it in their minds in that way, and not take them to this week way back in fall camp.
Caleb Tuiasosopo has had a larger role in recent weeks. Listed first on the depth chart. What has he been doing to earn that expanded role?
Well, I'll tell you what, he's played really well. He's played with a lot of energy. In coverage, I think he's probably one of our better linebackers in coverage. And so the times that early on that he'd get out there and do a great job in coverage, that excited us. And then he had some opportunities in the run game to make some plays, and he came through. So along with guys, getting injured here and there, and us having to restructure things, that helped his cause as well. But each time he's had the opportunity to get in, some of them been coverage situations, but each time he's had the opportunity to get in, he's come through, he's made plays. So Coach McDaniel has great trust in what he can do, and in his ability to be able to get the defense lined up. We felt like it's time for him to get a shot.
How fast does Navy play from play to play? Will you be able to rotate a lot of fresh legs in and out?
Well, there are certain times where you see them go fast, but it's nothing like the tempo that we faced over the course of this season. But we think that we'll be able to sub. We see people sub and with no problem. But like I said, there are situations where you see after first downs, after they've earned first downs, where they go a little bit faster. But generally, you're able to rotate your guys how you need to.